Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tammy Tuckey Show. My name is Tammy Tuckey, and it's good to see you. So this evening, I am very excited to welcome two wonderful songwriters, Michael and Patty, to the show. Welcome, you two. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
I was posting about this interview, and I got a lot of comments on Instagram for a lot of people who, as I did, grew up with The Little Mermaid II, Return to the Sea, the sequel to The Little Mermaid, the anticipated sequel. So I was like, it was great because I was just listening to the music and during the summertime, and I saw you guys online. I was like, would you mind doing an interview?
Not at all.
I'm so glad. Thank you for being willing to answer my questions I've had since the year 2000, which doesn't seem like it was that long ago. But before we get into the film itself, you guys have had a wonderful career with Disney. So we're not going to touch on everything, but I thought we would get into a little bit of your beginnings just in songwriting in general. You know, what inspired you to become songwriters?
Well, I'll let Mike start on that one.
I've been songwriting. I'm 70, but I've been writing since I was 8. And I don't know why I started into songwriting, but there it was. And I just sat down at the piano at my parents' house and just started playing. And I didn't know if the music was coming from inside out or outside in. I discovered it was coming from the inside out. So I just started writing songs. So, and I was inspired at first by people like Rodgers and Hammerstein and the Gershwins and that sort of thing. And then when the Beatles came around, definitely that. I'm a big Beatle fan, and other rock music from the 60s as well. So, and when I was 15, I dragged the spinet into my bedroom from the living room. So I could play it all the time. And then Patty and I met in 1976, and we courted. We got married, and at one point there was a song contest for a holiday song contest, winning a recording session. And I wrote this song and I played it. And she said, "Oh, it's okay. The lyrics could use some work." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, well, let me work on it. So she did.
So I rewrote it. Yep.
And we won the contest. So.
Oh, nice.
Actually, it was an international song contest, so that was kind of.
And
wow.
That was the beginning. We just kept going from there. So.
Now, when you're working, because first of all, you're a couple, and then you're also working together. So that's kind of almost an around the clock thing, where you're working together and you have a personal life. So how does that factor into some of your music? Does it inspire you even more to create the lyrics and music that you make?
We were 24/7 living at our home for the only time in our whole career which I loved, that we were on a lot or working, because Disney had asked us to be staff writers, and we rejected it. I just felt like I think that we should be staff writers for Disney. They're still hiring us for all this work, and we want to keep our boundaries open to other studios as well. So we ended up writing for Disney and other studios, but it was always with Disney. We did not ever write on their lot. We would have meetings all the time, but we always did everything here, actually, in this room. And
actually, there was one week when we first moved down to LA, when we had an office at the animation building.
Right.
And we wrote the Gyro Gearless from Splash Dance album there, and the Happy Birthday song. And then we moved over to our house. Our house. Yeah.
So that was really it. But I loved when we were working for Henson. We had for a show we were working on, they asked us to come into their offices.
And Animal Jam, and we had an office there.
You had to accept that.
maybe we should not have turned the Disney deal down when they asked us to be staff writers. We might have.
Well,
but anyway,
the fact is that we ended up working with Henson for a long time too,
Yeah.
and we're still working with Henson actually.
Right.
And the great
that was
thing about
before Henson combined and began a relationship with Disney, right? Correct? Or
it was about the same time they had when Jim just before Jim died, they had started a negotiation to sell the big
Muppets.
characters, the Muppets, to Disney. It didn't happen until about a few years after he died. But then, and then the company itself was in flux for a while until they found their footing. And Lisa and Brian took over.
Yeah.
The
anyway,
company
that's that Disney.
made it go.
That's that legacy with Disney and Henson.
well, hey, I don't know. Best of both worlds, working with Disney and Henson. I don't know. It led to a different type of career working with Henson, which I was listening to some of the music, and it's really wonderful, catchy.
I'm with you. We love it.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Patty? I'm sorry.
We did love our Disney time and all the people that we worked for and with there. It was wonderful.
So what was the first Disney project that got you into the door?
Mousercise. And well, actually, what happened was you want to talk about it?
Whole World Sounds Like Michael McDonald.
Yeah, what happened was
song that got on a San Jose radio station. I submitted it. Whole World Sounds Like Michael McDonald. And the next morning at 6:00, we got a phone call from the DJ saying that they've never had their phone lines flooded. They were totally flooded from everywhere, China, you name it. And Dr. Domino then heard it. He played the song. It's a long story. We won't get into that. But Tom Bocci from Disney, who at the time was the publisher, he also heard the song. And we had been introduced to Disney before that song by somebody who worked for us, who was a volunteer for the organization we founded, the Songwriters organization we founded. And so we got an email or a phone call from Tom Bocci saying, "Oh, you've been highly recommended." And he said, "Here's, we have an album. We need songs, but we need them yesterday." Michael and I wrote 5 songs for Disney. 2 days later, we got a response that none of these work. Children's music is very difficult. They're really good songs, but this is not a Disney song for us. And so that was it. And so then another project came along. Tom heard our Michael McDonald song. And then what happened, Michael?
Well, we met him at a Songwriters conference in LA.
ASCAP.
And we went and had an office meeting. He said, "Well, we're no longer doing this other project. We are doing a thing called Mousercise. And we have one more song slot open. And the song's going to be called Big Out. And this is what it's going to be about." And he says, we need the song yesterday. So, and we went home. I got my Drum Jocks record out and played the piano. We wrote 4 verses and sent it off. And the day after Christmas in 1981, we got a check for $500 with Mickey Mouse on it. And that was the beginning of our relationship with him.
Wow. So it was 1981. Okay. Because I was introduced to you guys through the Little Mermaid TV series. So I actually have one of my VHS tapes that I still have after all these years, Giggles. This is not the one with the most famous Little Mermaid song that you wrote, which was In Harmony. But I want to play a clip.
Right there.
Yes, I want to play a little clip for those who remember it and maybe those who never got to hear it. So here's a little clip of In Harmony from one of the episodes of the Little Mermaid series.
Was only one note, how boring life would be. I'm glad there are so many notes in many different keys. I hear each voice singing with a special quality. And when we sing together, we bring music to the sea. In harmony, harmony. You're you, I'm me. Together we can live in harmony.
So catchy. Like it just gets into your head. But how did you? So when they do these episodes, they at least give you the premise of what's happening. Do they tell you where they're going to place the song, or do they say, "Hey, where do you think we should place this song?" and then you start crafting the song?
Yeah, we usually get a script. Right. And in the script, it indicates song here, and they tell you pretty much what they think is
about 30 scripts from the attic today that were all the television show Little Mermaids that we wrote for.
Which is very cool.
And that happens to be a particular favorite of ours as well.
Yeah.
That song.
I love the lyric. If there was only one note, how boring life would be. And how true is that? You can't make a melody or a symphony without having all of the notes. And I love that one. I think that one came out in 1992, 1993. And then I'm listening to it like in the late 90s. And then it's on these VHS tapes. And I was telling Patty that like one of the last Disney sing-along DVDs that they ever did was a Disney Princess one, and they did two of them, and I think the second one has In Harmony on it. So
that's great.
It was great. I got to see it again when I was a little bit older. I was like, I know this one. It's stuck in my head. So it's such a brilliant song. So Patty, you were saying that you did a couple of songs for the actual TV series. It wasn't just that one, right? Or
we did several.
Yeah, we did In Harmony, a song called This Is the Life for Sebastian. And Flambe Bombay Cook de Cook, which is also for Sebastian. The Edge of the Sea.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. And a song called Daring to Sing, Daring to Dance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was the very first character.
This was interesting because that song was actually the first animated singing song ever that had been written for a deaf character.
Yes.
And she had become friends with Ariel. Yeah.
Yeah.
That episode, I remember that was on they had pink little VHS tapes of the other episodes of the show. And I had that one and I loved it so much. And what a brilliant episode. It kind of was trailblazing in the fact that and that was an introduction for me as a kid. I did not know anybody who was deaf. And then you learn some of the sign language. So when they presented that to you, like do you remember what that conversation was like? How you were presented?
We were working with the writers very closely on it because they wanted to, they had met this girl and her parents, and the girl who they had met had died, and they wanted to make an animated character of her as a memorial for her and to give this character a chance to teach Ariel something for a change. And so that was what the whole episode was about. And we felt very honored to be asked to be part of that. So
that's really great. When I was looking on your other credits, I didn't see that listed. Otherwise, I'd have a clip of it here. But what's the name of the episode, or what's the name of the song again? Just so those who can probably find it on YouTube.
I think it's called
Daring to Dance.
Daring to Sing, Daring to Dance, and it's I think it's a episode called Wish Upon a Starfish, maybe.
Yes,
that's familiar. Yeah,
I had one of those. That was the one that I remember it. That's right, Wish Upon a Starfish.
Yeah,
I love that episode. And and you should, if you get a chance to. I wish Disney Plus would put the series on that, of the Aladdin series, the Hercules series, the Timon and Pumbaa, because a lot of those series I thought it was great because they expanded on the characters, and sometimes I thought the series was better than the movie at times because of the lessons you learned, a lot of really unique experiences there. So a couple years go by, and now there's a pitch for the sequel to bring Ariel back, but this time Ariel, it's 12 years later, and from the original film, and she now has a daughter named Melody. So where they say to you, you know what, we loved your work on the series. Can we bring you on board to do the film?
Yes, actually, we didn't. Most of the time when we were working with Disney, we were part of a cattle call.
A cattle
call.
So
there would be like
a competition.
10 other writers around. But for this one, there wasn't. They just offered it to us right out and everything.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But remember, we had all the background writing all the songs for the Little Mermaid TV show. So then we did. Yeah.
Plus, we did a lot. We've done a lot of work. We did the big Happy Birthday song at the theme parks and
Right.
and all those things. So
stuff. Yeah.
so we had like over 100 songs with Disney at the time. We were asked to do the Little Mermaid 2.
Were you like a little bit more trepidatious with this because it was a film, or did you kind of approach it the same way you did the TV series when you were creating your songs?
It was very interesting because Michael and I were trying to figure out, we think it's even more than this, but at least 7 script rewrites for the entire movie.
Wow.
They just rewriting and doing all this. And boy,
well, for example, I sent you a song a while ago called So Many Possibilities.
Yes.
And that was originally Melody's song. It was based on stuff that we knew from the first or second iteration of the script. And by the time we got to the 7th script, the character had changed so much that we had to write a different song, and that song was For a Moment. And which became, it was a different song. I really liked the first song they accepted as well. But when the character changed, they wanted a different song for her. That's what we did, yeah.
Well, I think this was technically the first Disney sequel in a long time, but this was like direct to DVD. It wasn't in the movie theaters. The only one that went to the movie theaters was the Return to Neverland Peter Pan sequel. So this was it was an interesting era especially for children my age, because we were seeing the sequels probably more often than we were the original films because they were on VHS tape and DVD.
Actually, the first sequel that I know of was Return of Jafar.
Yes.
The Aladdin. And we were involved with that too. And when we were involved with that, we had actually been told it was going to be for the new TV series of Aladdin.
Yes, I had heard about that. Yes.
And when not Michael Eisner, the other guy.
Frank Wells?
No, let me see. Spielberg.
Ron Miller?
Katzenberg. Katzenberg was in there. He said, he looked at it. He said, "This is really good. Let's turn this into a direct to video movie." Yeah. So they did that, but they paid us the same amount of money that they would if we did it on the series. Because for a series we get paid when it's broadcast, but for a movie we don't. And for videos we didn't. So it took a while for us to make back the money we
So you were money in television production, in television shows from your performance rights organizations, because your BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, they monitor all the performance rights for television, but movies does not have a performance right.
Right, and they considered videos to be movies and not television. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you wrote the songs to Return of Jafar as well too?
The one song I wrote 2 songs. One song we wrote together was called "Forget About Love."
Forget About Love.
Sung by.
Love it.
Sung by Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
Liz Calloway, and
I
think it's Luke Perry. I'm not sure who I think it was Luke Perry or Jason Priestley. That's what it was. It was sang Aladdin, and Liz Calloway played Jasmine. And of course, Gilbert Gottfried was Iago. So,
he must have been thrilled. I know when I used to listen to his podcast, he just loves to sing.
Yeah, he was great too. He was great to work with too. Yeah.
Oh, what was that like? What was that like to record with him in the studio?
Well, he's you had to get him in between foul jabs, but it was the same thing you had to do with Donald Duck, because Donald Duck would sing, and then in between he would say something you couldn't say, especially if you were on Disney, in Donald Duck's voice. And Gilbert would do the same things.
I remember one of the episodes on his podcast, I don't know which one, he does sing Forget About Love.
Oh, wow.
I was so surprised. He knew the lyrics. I was like,
we should probably look for that, see if we can find that. That'd be fun to
forget about that guy. Forget about the way you fell into his eyes.
Oh, it's so good. I think that's on one of these sing-along tapes too. I can't remember which one, but I love that one. I love it so much. I can't believe you guys wrote it.
Well, actually, it was interesting because the president of the record company who became the vice president of animation, Gary Kreisel, told us that it was his favorite song of all the songs that have been written for television that he liked. It was his favorite song.
Oh, that's good. Well, he has good taste. Well, let's play a clip from the actual beginning of The Little Mermaid. I was telling Patty off air that I really was just listening to the actual soundtrack, just to the music, and listen to this orchestra, guys. Here we go.
Yeah,
Real.
Steady, boy, steady.
Ahoy there, they're coming.
Trumpeters ready. Drums start drumming.
Down to the sea we go, down to a world I know there's never been, not ever before, a child born of sea and shore. Down to the sea we go, the world below, a journey to last, what brings us to be under the sun and under the sea.
Oh, what a great way to start out, just listening to it. It's just a really great entrance song. And particularly, was this something that was pretty similar to the 7, rewrites that they had? They wanted to kind of start big, or was it always start small?
No, the one thing that's very interesting about that whole segment of the opening of the film is that they only had a song. You'd go through a lot of script, and then they'd say song placement. At the end, it ended up, we took their entire first act and put the entire first act to music.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we wrote the whole first act, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was very interesting also is when I did the demo, they used the demo as the template for the orchestration. In other words, they asked me to do a rhythm track so they could get the right amount of beats per minute for everything as it raises and as it gets faster and slower and everything. So they used the actual demo as the template for what ended up on screen. So
I love it. It's great because that saves the exposition of let's just talk. The song,
Right.
that's the whole point of a musical, is it's supposed to bring you into it and get you right into the mood and understanding what's going on, what's happening. So we have a question from the audience. This is from Lauren Rodriguez. She says, "Hi, I love For a Moment and Down to the Sea," which is what we just heard. Down to the Sea shows Ariel's unconditional love for Melody, while For a Moment is fun. Did you get to sit in on the recording session with Tara Strong, who played Melody, and Jodie Benson, the voice of Ariel, during their For a Moment song? So what was that like?
Well,
Yeah.
they recorded separately, but they were in the studio at the same time. And Tara was a little bit, she seemed a little bit afraid to be in there. Jodie, of course, is the consummate professional and really easy to work with, and a lovely personality. And we had Tara did her own part privately with just a few of us in the studio, in the booth and everything. So,
But
and
that's
that
was great about Disney, is that we were able to go to all of the productions of what we did. Yeah.
yeah.
Were you able to offer notes or direction, or is it one of those things where you're just sitting to listen and offer feedback along with the group, or how did that work with the sessions?
Basically, yes, we were able to offer some suggestions up to a certain point.
Right.
And until Bambi Moe, who was running the sessions, would look at the clock and say, "Yeah, we got to stop now. You got to go ahead." So take what you can get. So
well, here's For a Moment with Jodie and Tara.
Watch me soar. For a moment, I can shine. Got a grin and a fin that works fine. My fingers are wrinkly and I really don't care if all of my curls have curled out of my hair. For a moment, I can feel all the dreams I've been dreaming are real. Wish my mother could hear it. The sea is my song. For a moment, just a moment, I will find you, my.
I love it. And guess what I have tonight? My own little Melody necklace.
there you go.
made on Etsy. They never made these officially. They should have, right? Disney could have made a lot of money. But
really.
They have like big fans. This is official charming pins on Etsy. She makes these beautiful necklaces, and it feels real too. So I had to get one. I was like, and I wanted to surprise you guys with it. So
that's sweet.
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you that the melody that Ariel sings is the melody from what's Part of Your World, or the da 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 backwards, because the reason for that is that Ariel in the first movie wants to be up on the land, and now in the show she's up in the land. She's singing down to the sea.
Down into the sea.
So that was the idea.
Brilliant. I love that idea. Good Lord. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. I don't think anybody knows that. It was my own private thing.
Now I do. Now I guess what I'm going to pull out of my pocket the next time I see the movie. I'm going to tell people, guess what I know. But I love that. That's a great idea. So again, another way to musically explain how a character is feeling. I always love that. I was telling Patty, again, off air, they had a CD-ROM game of playing its melody when you're on your computer. And one of the bonus features was being able to do one of those sing-alongs where it's Ariel swimming underneath the words or melody, and then you sing along with the other or whatever. And I love that. That's how I learned how to sing the song when I was a kid. So I loved it. And I did cover it.
Mermaid.
I did cover it this summer, so if you would like to hear my cover, a lot of people have been listening to it and sing. I did like those sing-alongs, so if you wanted to sing with Melody or Ariel, you can too.
You did for a moment. You sent it to me. I love it.
Yeah, really great. We heard it. It was lovely. Just beautiful voice, Tammy.
Really nice.
Thank you. I got nervous. I was like, should I send it to them or just, pretend like I didn't do it? So I appreciate it. It's very sweet. I got nervous because I'm like, it's hard. Ariel's part is hard. So, but it's fun. So we have two more songs in the film. We have Tip and Dash, who are a penguin and a walrus who get to meet Melody and join her on her quest. So
adventurers / explorers.
That's right. So let's listen to it and we'll talk about it. Here's the clip.
Tip and daring dash, adventurers / explorers. Titanic tip and daring dash, adventurers / explorers. We'll save the day and make a splash. Melody. Tip and daring dash. All for 3 and 3 for 1. Atlantica. Here we come.
That must have been fun with Max and Stephen First, who was Dash the walrus.
Yes, we were big fans of Stephen First from St. Elsewhere, anyway. So.
Yeah.
And
it was kind of a thrill to meet him and work with him. So,
had he sung before? Because I was trying to see if he had sung before, because it sounds like there were some people on this track who had never really technically sung before and were singing.
I don't know. I have no
I don't
idea
know where they got all their people too, Michael. It's interesting how they.
Well, it's interesting that one of the people who played the captain in the opening song, "Down to the Sea," is a guy named Clancy.
Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown, and I'd never met him before, and he was on there. And then when I was working at Sundance as the composer in residence for the Playwrights Lab, and he was one of the actors there. So we had a chance to get to know each other better up there in the mountains, in the Chumash Mountains of Utah. So,
and a lot of people know him as the voice of Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yes,
he's brilliant in that too. I think he sang a couple of songs in that too, but I had no idea that he was the captain because he's Undertow, Morgana's evil little henchman.
Right, because he did several things. I think they had. When you're doing voices, you can do several voices. In fact, in one of the TV series, I think it was Tailspin, I ended up doing a voice. on
Yeah.
something. So.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Really? Look at you.
Yeah.
That's the cool part. It's like you can kind of like add yourself in there, and it's all about the fun. I feel like that's what was so joyous about the 90s, especially animation on TV that during that time. It kind of like really broadened horizons for not only the animators and what they could do, but also inspired kids to actually pursue that type of career. You know what I mean?
Right.
I miss it
Right.
so much. Like what a joyous time it was. And we have somebody in the chat who has a really great question, and this has been on my mind because when you have Pat Carroll as the voice of Morgana, and she was the original voice of Ursula, it sounds like a no-brainer to give her a song. So Stephen writes, did you write Morgana's cut song, and any reason why it was cut in the end?
Yeah, it appears on they did a remake of the DVD of Little Mermaid 2, and they added the song to it
Yeah.
at the end of it. So yeah,
Okay.
so you can hear it, and it's called
Sorry, it wasn't possible. It was more.
I can't remember. I can't remember. We wrote a lot of songs. It
And
was
that's
called
okay.
Wish
I didn't know.
Tonight. Gonna get your wish tonight. So that was what it was called. And I'll tell you, this is kind of an interesting story. The original person who was going to be Morgana was Anne Bancroft. And I met with her at the studio, and it was very interesting. She was a little bit intimidated by the song, because I think she was a good singer, but she was not used to singing. And she turned to me and she said, "Can we slow this down?" And I said, "It's animation. You don't slow it down. You might want to speed it up, but you can't really slow it down." And everything. And she hemmed it on, and she got fired. And they didn't know who else to go to. So they went back to Pat Carroll, who recorded it from her home in Cape Cod, off in one of those. I forget I'm losing my words. I'm getting old and I'm losing words. So
It's okay.
When you record with a wire cross channel across the country, and that's what we did. I couldn't see her, but she was there, and I directed her from a studio in Los Angeles to her studio in Cape Cod. So I never got to meet her, but I got to work with her that way. Same thing with Sebastian when he was doing the opening song as well. He was in Lion King at the time. He was playing Mustafa. And so, and apparently he was in the studio getting down on all fours, which he does, to be Sebastian, and sang the song from there. And he was a little hoarse at the time as well. So, I never got to see him do it. But
was Pat Carroll upset that her song didn't make it into the film, or?
I don't think so. I think she got paid the same.
She's like, as long as I get the paycheck. So
yeah. And I think it became unnecessary. I think. Mm-hmm. I don't think they did a very good job of. Her part was recorded well. The other parts of the Moray Eels did not come out so good because they were like singing in chorus with her, and they never worked in it enough to get it all tight. So
I think that's a shame. I think that's probably the only maybe gripe I have with the film is there's no villain song, and I did not know you officially wrote one. So thanks, Stephen, for that question, because I did not know. I'm gonna have to listen to it after this. Because
now check it out there's a version of Little Mermaid 2, a special edition, and it has even the animation for it. At least I don't know if it's the full animation or if it's the line animation that they did for it. So,
I will. I was just telling Patty, I was like, I don't know what was on the DVD. I have mine around here somewhere, but I don't remember there was a lot on the bonus features. Maybe on the Blu-ray that they released. Maybe they put it on that too.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it is. The Blu-ray has got everything on it.
I need to add that to my Christmas list. I will be doing it soon. But you know, I think that, and it's so interesting because I forget how short the film is, and I was so disappointed because usually when a film comes out, Disney's like promoting it a lot, and they put the music in the theme parks. So I always thought that, you know, the finale here on the Land and Sea would have been something perfect just to add into the theme parks, especially when Ariel had her like grotto, the first, you know, version of the grotto back at Walt Disney World. So did they ever say to you guys that they were going to do additional promotion and use your music in the parks?
No, it was during a transition time for the company, and they were going through different people and everything. And the guy we had started the film under, I can't remember if it was Katzenberg or somebody like that, left, and Peter Schneider came in and took over animation, and he was not interested in the film at all. So he downplayed all promotion for it.
Right.
So that's what happened.
That's really disappointing.
However,
It was disappointing for us too. So.
the wonderful thing that happened was not in Harmony. It wasn't in Harmony. It was oh shoot, it was Michael, the song that won the French.
Oh, that For a Moment.
It was For a Moment. France had a show just like we have here,
American Idol.
like American Idol.
Mm-hmm.
And so France, in their American Idol, somebody chose our song For a Moment to sing for their song presentation, and he won.
It was she.
Yeah. And then
She won, and she's had to sing it. She sang it every week for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So it was the song that she entered the competition with.
She entered the competition with and won. And then they sent us the French magazine that had a write about it.
That's really cool. There you go.
Great.
Yeah.
I think that's I really wish they had given it a shot or just used it when they did some stage versions on the Disney Cruise Lines. It would have been great to have heard your music in the parks.
Yeah.
You know, I have footage of and I couldn't find it, but I have footage of me going to visit Ariel right when the movie came out, and I was 5. And I asked Ariel about Melody, and Ariel knew who Melody was because the movie had just come out, and she was talking about Melody with me, and I'm just like, it's Ariel. So I was like, oh God, I love The Little Mermaid. I was like such a huge fan, had so much stuff, and just, you know, the girliest girl ever, loving the Little Mermaid. And so I love the finale. Let me play the music track for the finale, which is Here on the Land and Sea. It's the reprise from the beginning.
There's no more stormy weather. Now we can sing together in perfect harmony. We're feeling better now. We sing together now. Here on the land and sea.
Those on land sing.
Lam-dee-da-do.
Those below sing. Do-dee-do-do.
Oh, animation. See, you could do anything with it, you know, when you have the music.
Good.
And it's so good when it's all meshed together. Just a really, really beautiful score. And so, as I said before, there's a lot of us around my age, you know, in our like mid-20s who grew up with these sequels, and this was like the beginning of the post-Disney Renaissance, sequels and films and everything. So this was like the beginning. This is right after Tarzan. So what's it like to be a part of this type of legacy where the music is still something that really touches a lot of people? Now it's being handed down to other children of the original kids.
It's pretty amazing. Wherever we go in the world, when we anywhere, Australia, I went to Israel, people know.
When looks to be 30 years old, we just say, so
People know the gummy bears, the gummy bear
always
theme.
ask us, what have you done? What do you do? And we say, oh, we're songwriters. Oh, really? What have you written? And I'm going to go like, oh, gummy bear theme song, tailspin.
They start singing it to us.
Huge. And it was so cool because when I was at the Disney Expo, there were actually some people who were cosplaying as the gummy bears and characters from a Tailspin.
Oh, wow.
So it's something that's like, and again, it's another reason sometimes I question why Disney doesn't at least bring back some of these tunes or some recognition to this material, because there's a lot of us who really loved it, and it's great to introduce it to other people who've never heard of it before.
Well, you never know, because they did a remake of DuckTales and Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. So
yes.
They might, who knows, they might do another
And they also now have
iteration.
the Disney Channel. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Well, they Disney Plus, yeah.
They brought a lot of our movies back to the Disney Channel.
We have music in Bale's Musical Adventures. We have 2 songs in that.
Okay.
Yeah, one of my favorites called a little thought.
A Little Thought, yeah.
Yes.
It's a great song, and
I haven't heard that in so long.
and it's on Disney Plus.
Yay! Well, we need to get the Little Mermaid TV series on Disney Plus, which would be a nice bonus to hear some more of your material. What if they decided to I feel like Ariel's more popular than ever now, aside from Frozen and Encanto. But do you think that if there was ever a way for a TV series to come back to Disney Plus and revisit Ariel, would you guys be willing to kind of go back under the sea and write some tunes?
Well, I know they have a new Little Mermaid that's coming back, a live action version.
Yes.
But wait a minute. On Disney Plus, are they not? Okay, I thought they were using all their old shows. No? It's just
not all of them. Not all of them. The Gummy Bears is on. Tailspin is on.
I don't think the Aladdin is. Hercules is not. Timon and Pumbaa, Little Mermaid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There are a lot of them that aren't, which is surprising because it's like a whole catalog. It's like, come on, put what you got.
That might be holding out for something. So
House of Mouse. Did you guys write anything for House of Mouse?
No, we wrote. Oh my gosh,
Winnie the Pooh. We did Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, I forgot. I totally forgot about that series too.
Yeah. We did a lot of the specials, holiday specials.
Yeah.
Valentine for you, Winnie the Pooh. Boo to you too, Winnie the Pooh. Thanksgiving for you, Winnie the Pooh. Whatever rhymes with Pooh, we did those shows, and we were nominated for 2 Emmys for two of the shows, for Places in the Heart and for I Want to Scare Myself for Tigger. For the Boo to You Too, Winnie the Pooh. And we wrote the songs for the Heffalumps. Heffalumps. The movie? Except for that song, the movie that they did.
Oh, you did?
We wrote We'll Be Together. Da, 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 da. I forget that. It's been a long time.
It has been. Now you're making me go back in time in my head. I'm like, I remember seeing that in the movie theaters too.
Oh my God.
It was just a little tater tot. I loved it. I loved it all. You know what I mean? It's so great that you guys can bring your magic of music to so many and just the way that your journey has come. And I really appreciate you being able to come on the show tonight to share your story because I love talking directly to the creators because it's so unique to hear all of these wonderful stories that we probably wouldn't have heard. They didn't even do a bonus behind the scenes featurette with you guys. That was the best part of the DVD.
Tammy to even think about inviting us on. This has been a real special for us.
Yeah, it means a lot. It's so great.
Oh my gosh, it's great. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say you can ask us back. We can discuss everything.
Guys, I want to my next album because I'm doing a Disney album right now, a cover album of the Disney theme park songs. But my next one, which is I shouldn't be saying anything, but I would love to do something where it's the heroes and heroines, and villains, like a mixture of all those because I love to highlight the ones from the sequels because they're my favorite.
Tammy, are you going to sing our happy birthday song for your theme park parade album?
I didn't get the rights to that one. I have 9 other songs, and I have an original one I wrote about a theme park attraction that I love. So, but I didn't get. I don't know for sure. Did they officially release that on like an album or
it's
only the theme park?
It's Donald Duck's official 50th birthday song, but we had originally written it for an album
for Splashdance.
Okay, so it is on the album, okay? Because they told me that you can only release something if it's on an album. So, yeah, that's very specific. But I will put it on my list because if I do a third part of just theme park songs, I would like to do that one. Well, I saw it behind the scenes.
Recognition with that song, it's just been wonderful.
Yes. Well, I think that's, again, another thing is we were hoping for the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World, they would release a nice big, fleshed out album of, remastered music that you hear from the parks, because that's just as meaningful as what you hear in the movies. And they never did anything. So, which is disappointing.
The music from Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion, those things,
It's like, and just hearing it remastered, and they've been doing some of the Disney films. Like, I think they just did Hunchback of Notre Dame. That was beautiful to hear remastered. I think they did Hercules. They were promoting a lot of this actually at the booth at D23 Expo. They had a music emporium booth.
Right.
And they had records. They were selling, and they were sold out of records. I was like, oh my gosh, it was great. But it was all
Vinyl is back.
Oh, it's back. And I actually, that would be cool if they could release, a vinyl album of some of the most popular sequel songs, including your songs, because they're beautiful. So I encourage everybody to, on YouTube, they actually Disney has the official released songs on there. So if you'd like to tune in and listen to them, they're really beautiful. You should listen to them in full in your headphones or earbuds, because the orchestra is just amazing. You said it was a 60-part
piece orchestra.
Yeah.
Of our music with Disney.
And they don't do that anymore. So
No.
Not at all.
Give yourself a treat and go ahead and listen to it. Get a chance to watch it on Disney Plus as well too. It's just wonderful to revisit. And thank you guys for joining us, and everybody who's been watching and asking questions. Thank you for joining our conversation. Just continue this with us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. You could find me at Tammy Tuckey. You could find out more about some other interviews and reunions I've done. If you'd like to support the channel, check out TammyTuckey.com. Maybe hopefully we could do something for the 25th anniversary and get everybody from the cast and you guys involved. That would be
great.
Really cool. But I don't know if I want to say 25 years.
No. Remember, we're 70.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's like, it's going by so quickly. But thank you guys for being a part of the show.
Thank you so much, Tammy. And thank you all who came in and watched. We really appreciate
thank you so much.
Yep.
We'll see you real soon. And remember, everybody, together we can live in harmony. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Good night, Michael, Patty. Bye, everybody.